Hi everyone, thank you for joining me today. I'm Misty Bancaro. Some people know me as Seattle Butcher's Wife. Today I'm here to show you step by step how to smoke a delicious tri-tip roast. The tri-tip roast comes from the sirloin where 3 different muscles meet, creating this wonderful triangle shaped roast. It's not a steak, it's a roast, but it doesn't take as long to cook as a brisket. Let me show you how to get started. You can see you've got 2 different directions where the meat grain goes. We're going to determine where that line is that separates the 2 grains. So the first step is just to make sure that the meat is completely dry before we start seasoning it and getting it ready for the smoker. And with a roast like this, it's pretty thick, it's great to be able to make sure it becomes a little bit more of an even temperature so when it hits the smoker, it cooks consistently. Now, fat is flavor, that is true, but we're gonna put this in a smoker so we don't have to have as much fat all over the roast. One thing I like to do is get a fillet knife and try not to waste any of the actual meat. You just slide that down and take it off. Something that's really important when you're trimming is to take a look for spots like this. And this silver skin does not have a very good bite. It makes your meat chewy. So we're gonna get underneath just to carefully glide through and take that off. And that's what you want to get to, a full, clean finish. So now it's time to give a little bit of a binder to the tri-tip. This will help your seasonings adhere to the meat throughout the smoking process. Today, I'm going to use an olive oil. Now that we've applied the olive oil, all the seasoning should stick right to it. And one best practice on this is to make sure that your seasoning is held a little bit higher so that you get more even coverage. Today we're going to start with something that's really just an all-purpose blend, but it has a tiny bit of spice in it that I really like, garlic and herbs. Don't forget to get the sides, that's important too. And once you put it on there, you're gonna press it down. The next seasoning I'm going to put on this tri-tip, this is one way I like to do it. I have like kind of a sweet and spicy underneath. I have an activated charcoal seasoning for the top of it. This one has a strong garlic base as well, so it's going to provide a lot of flavor for the meat. Okay, now we're all seasoned and ready to go. Let's get to the grill. One move that I'm gonna make before I put it into the smoker is to make sure that I can see exactly where that line is where the grains change and make myself a little tiny cheat mark. That is where the grain changes. So when it's time to actually slice it off the smoker, I know exactly where to go. So I'm going to put it onto the smoker and then I'm going to put the thermometer into the center of the meat about halfway through in the thickest part of the roast to get an accurate read. And then shut it immediately, because if you're looking, you ain't cooking. Okay, let's check in on the tri-tip and see how it's smoking. The edges look like we're getting some crust. I'm going to go ahead and flip it over and put it again right into the center and make sure both sides get an even amount of smoke. It's looking good, but we don't want to hold it open for too long. We want to make sure we keep the smoke in. And now we're gonna check out the tri-tip. It just came off of the smoker. It looks absolutely beautiful. It's a little warm. And I like to double check because even though we had a probe in the tri-tip that told us, I wanna make sure that it really is. And I wanna check the temperatures of the other parts of the tri-tip, not just the center. And now we're gonna wrap it up, seal in the moisture, let it absorb all of its juices before we give it that final sear to get ready to serve it. So now that the smoker is getting real hot, you want it at least at about 400 or more, it's time to sear the tri-tip. This will give that Maillard finish on the crust that will make every bite delicious for your tri-tip. As it rests, all of the juices in the meat will distribute throughout the entire roast, which will give it a tender and delicious bite. After smoking and searing, it's been sitting here for about 20 minutes, so it looks like it came out real juicy. Well, now it's time to slice. You can see the direction in the grain by the lines that go straight through the meat. It's very tender and smoky. The ones right in the middle are the best ones in the house. These are going to be the tastiest bites for the judge who's going to judge your competition. Look how juicy those are. That's all from just letting it sit and rest and having all the juices distribute into the meat. And then you may want to finish with a finishing salt just for that little extra texture and flavor. This is a great way just to finish it off. Now that we've got it all sliced up, we're gonna give this to the judges. Perfectly cooked, little finishing salt, and they're gonna love it.